Welcome to the Self-Storage Show, where I have conversations with my industry friends, talk with owners and vendors, and share tales about my management company, 3 Mile Storage. Let's go. Hey guys, thanks so much for tuning into the Self-Storage Show. Hey, right at the top, I want to talk about something that's really valuable. You don't want to miss out on it. It's 3 Mile Domination. What this is they optimize your Google business profiles, okay? And we all know for self-storage, we live and die by our rentals. I guarantee you, if you don't have your profile optimized, you're losing out on rentals every single day. So go to 3miledomination.com. Right now, they are doing free audits of your profile. You'll see the big red button right there. Book your free audit right now. Book a time. We'll go through your Google profile optimization session in real time together. Send you back reports. So you have an action plan. It's very valuable. Okay. So again, go to 3miledomination.com and book your audit right now. Hi, everyone. This is Jim Ross of the Self-Storage Show. I've got an episode here for you, part of the interview series I've been doing. I have Gabriel Luna with me today. I'll give you the spiel real quick of who you are, then you can get into it. He is the marketing coordinator at Trojan Storage and also the marketing and communications committee chair for the California Self-Storage Association. So in other words, you're like bored. You don't do nothing.
Yeah, pile it on.
Got a lot going on, man. Anyway, thank you so much for jumping on here. If you don't mind, again, I'll let you introduce yourself and kind of tell us the background, what you got going on, and then we'll go from there.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jim. I appreciate you having me on the show. Again, I'm Gabriel Luna, marketing coordinator at Trojan Storage. Been in self-storage for almost 7 years now. Highly involved. I've been working alongside my mentor, Pedro Florida, for quite some time. So I want to give him a shout out for kind of, again, always putting me on this trajectory that the possibility to do more and more. And this is exactly the road that we're on. Is for a long time, I've been staring at my data and looking for better ways and to more efficiency, better uses of my time. What does it all mean? And so this is really kind of the core, my foundation of why do I bother pulling these reports and looking at this information? What kind of impact does it make? And that really kind of bleeds in exactly with the Self-Storage Association. Again, chair of the Marketing Communications Committee. We've launched a mobile app this year, and again, we're looking at different creative ways to market and advertising. So again, I feel my mindset is very solutions oriented, and again, efficiency. Not doing things for the sake of doing it, but making impact and making life easier and better. And that's the perfect segue into my best friend, as I always say, ChatGPT or AI in general.
Yeah, I saw you. I think it was the SSA. You were doing a talk, right?
Yes.
On AI. I'm like, all right, and very intelligent. We're able to talk about it. I'm like, all right, we got to get you on the show and talk more about it because I've joined ChatGPT back in November, like when it came out, and ever since then I try every day. I try to play with it just to get involved and see what it can do in AI, and it seems like every day it's something new, guys. I totally get it. It can kind of be overwhelming to try to take it all in. That's why I wanted to have you come on. This could be like, we're not going to talk about the whole thing. Let's just talk about certain segments that can actually be useful. So with that, sake of time, I'm just going to hand it off to you, man. So go ahead.
Absolutely. And just some more background context is, again, I've been curating data for various portfolios for quite some time. And it's a painstaking process, understanding, why it's important, again, as noted, and taking the time to download various data sets from different systems and cross-referencing them and being able to create graphs and charts from them, and ultimately to do the analyzation and tell a story, because that's what we're trying to get to, is ultimately telling a story with this data. And so this is something that I've kind of noted. It took my time, I would say my first couple of years in self-storage, kind of getting to the point, getting to understand all the KPIs and things that we were interested in. But ultimately, it's like, this is taking me a really long time to do. On any given month, I would say, for a particular monthly report, it was taking me, anywhere up to 10 plus hours to curate data out of various systems and get it to a point where I could show it off. And so right away, I started looking for solutions for how can I make this faster? How can I make this more efficient and easier for me? So I'm not trying to, pop my head off at the end of the day. Really started playing with data visualization programs and got it to the point where I was taking 10 hours worth of work and condensing that down to about under 5 minutes. So that was like the first big revolutionary step of there's things that can be built that will crunch this data and cross-reference for me, and I can get straight to analyzing and telling stories from it. And this is really where AI enters into my life. So for those that didn't know, OpenAI went public in November of last year. So even now we're here in almost October. It's only been around for about 11 months. And I would say from the first moment it came out, I was all over it because I was very interested and intrigued on what this type of software, can do. And I think the best note, everyone always asks, like, where do I even start? Because it's so robust. There's so many variations and different modes and different carriers. I just say, get your hands on it. It's changing so much. Like, a lot of people who are not taking the opportunity yet to involve themselves, I feel are ultimately going to get left behind the curve. And you definitely don't want to do that. So I say, get your hands on it. I always tell people, for example, I lean on my wife. My wife's like, what do I do? I'm not doing any kind of, heavy analytics or data. I say, look up recipes, put your favorite things and plug in stuff that you're familiar with or that you enjoy, because you just need to start understanding how it works, what type of questions and prompts, other words, that you put in are going to dictate the type of answers that you get back. So anything that you're comfortable with, this is, I guess, what they teach you when you're learning how to public speak. You talk about a topic that you like, and that way it makes it easier, and you're not worried about the information. You're just worried about the delivery. And I would say almost the same way in this AI Lite, regardless if you're using Google Bard, you're using ChatGPT, and I know various other programs exist out there. Some of them are built in, whether that be Canva. I know a lot of the learning tools are building an AI function in it. Just play with it so that you can start understanding what information you put in, again, dictates the type of information you get out. And then ultimately, the next best question to ask yourself is, now, how can I pull this into what I do? And how can I make my life easier, using this information? And so what I was hoping to do today is I've kind of showcased many tools, over this past year. And again, it's been this amazing evolutionary process. I feel my first talk in AI was probably in the early spring. And if I go back and watch that video, none of that information's relevant.
All outdated.
It's all outdated because they changed the names, they changed the speed, they changed the version, they changed everything. Another question that people ask me a lot is, which one should I jump in? And again, as I stated before, any of them, anything you can get your hands on. I always say Google Bard because most people have a Gmail account of some sort, if they use it or not, but it's a low-hanging fruit. You can get in there. It's absolutely free. There's no waiting in line. In the old days, which again I'm referring to 6 months ago, you had to be on a wait list to get access to some of these tools. But they really opened it up for a majority of the people. So get your hands on. I personally, I just prefer OpenAI, ChatGPT. It's quickly become my favorite. Now I am on the Plus version, which does cost $20 a month. And I actually did check the other day to see, if you're not a paid user, what tools do you have access to? And it's the basic tools. So you do have 3.5, you do have 4, but you don't have access to the plugins. You don't have access to the advanced code analysis, or formerly known as code interpreter. So that $20 a month on the Plus plan really opens up the tools for you, and they're really strong tools. And I always argue that regardless of which tool you use, whether it be really strong or not so, a lower hanging fruit, you probably couldn't replicate that with manpower or another service for under $20. So for that $20 investment, it's been a game changer here in regards to, again, my time and efficiency. And so get your hands on it and jump in anywhere. One of the tools, if I can share my screen, if that's okay.
Yeah. Again, for those that are listening to the podcast, we'll do our best to kind of describe it, but I urge you to go to the YouTube and watch the video so you can actually see this presentation on what Gabriel's doing here. There, go ahead.
Absolutely. So what I'm going to do, and again, keep in mind those listeners out there, hello in audio land. I am opening up a simple Google homepage, search page, and what I'm going to do is actually search, and right here on top is Trojan's newest facility. And so what I want to do is actually show you how to use one of the favorite plugins that everyone tends to really like is the scraper plugin. So again, I am simply searching for my facility, and I am using the Google Business Profile, which is typically located on the right-hand side. It gives you the reviews and the address and phone number, and one of those is the map. I'm going to expand that map so that I can see the entire Google map. And again, if you're looking at this screen, you're seeing the whole map. You're seeing all the information on the left-hand side. What I'll do here is there's several buttons here, and I'm going to click the one in the middle about not only it's in the middle and the middle of the page called nearby. And I'm sure most of you are familiar with this if you've done any of your own searches in any regard. And I'm actually going to search for self-storage. So what I'm doing in this case is actually looking at competitors directly around our own facility. So directly in the center of this Google map, again, is Trojan Storage of Camarillo. And now I can see in this immediate vicinity all these other self-storage businesses come up, and I am able to choose any one of them. So ideally, just depending on how extensive of a program you want to do or how much you care about in terms of your hyper locality, Trojan, we typically look anywhere between 3 to 5 miles. There are some areas where we definitely expand that and go out, especially if you're near a highway, you probably get a lot of traffic from businesses. So again, this really gets tailored to your specific needs. But in this scenario, I'm going to go ahead and choose some storage. So here, one of them is this SoCal self-storage. I'm going to simply click them, and then their information comes up, and I am going to launch their website. So it gives you a button that you can click just to go directly to their website. So this again is a self-storage directly near us, and I am now looking at their units. So what we would normally do in the past is if we're looking for, what our competitors are doing, it compares to our 10 by 10s, or what promotions are they running, maybe calculate their dollar per square footage. This is just takes a lot of time from an analyst to kind of go through, open these sheets, look at this information, record it, whether it be directly into an Excel spreadsheet. But it does take a lot of human time to do this. And that's what I say too. There's two uses really for AI in my eyes, is to do really hard things, but also to do really mundane things really fast. So there are two really cases. In this case, this is a mundane thing that you're doing very fast. And so instead of capturing any of this information, all I'm going to do here is actually highlight the URL bar, and I'm going to copy that. And then I'm simply going to go into ChatGPT. And I actually want to show, before I even do that, in the bottom left-hand corner, and again, this is only seen if you're a Plus user. So if you're not a Plus user, don't drive yourself crazy trying to find this, because you won't. But in the bottom left-hand corner where you're registered, you're going to want to click on your settings in beta. And the second tab here is beta features. And this is where you want to make sure that you have both your plugins turned on, and in this case, your advanced data analysis turned on. And for those, again, data analysis, which we'll jump into briefly as well, was formerly known as code interpreter. So this will analyze your data for you. So we're going to do both of these things today. So I'm good to go. Here, I'm going to make sure if you hover over ChatGPT-4, here are your items that you can select. The default model, which has no plugins, the advanced data analysis, or the plugins. So I'm going to turn plugins on, and you'll see these icons come up. And again, you can choose whichever ones you want, on or off. I believe there's a max of 3 at a time. Let me see if that still rings true today. Yep, 3. And so the one we're focusing on is the scraper. And I will just take 1 second here also to show you. If you open up that plugin store, and you can actually just type in scraper, and that will be the one that pops up. And you go ahead and simply install it. There's really nothing to do, no signing up to do. And it'll just install it straight on, no problems. And there you see it is actually live installed. So the first thing I'm going to do here is, using this URL, and I'll just simply paste it in. And this, again, this was the URL I captured from our local competitor. I'm going to say, create me a table, and that's going to be a key point here, because if you ask it for information, it will just give it to you in text form, but I'm specifically asking it to put it into a table so that it's easy to digest for even for myself. Create me a table of the unit sizes, the unit prices, including standard and promotional, and let's say calculate the dollar per square footage. So that is going to be my prompt. So just to kind of read that off, using this URL, simple paste, create me a table of the unit sizes, unit prices, including standard and promotional, and calculate the dollar per square footage for me. So now, you know, as you can imagine, when we started back on the other page URL, my poor analyst, he's over there still recording stuff in his Excel. You know, maybe he's on his third or fourth if he's faster, been doing this for a while. I'm going to expand this. So typically all the information that's happening in the background is kind of condensed, but you can actually open it in this example and see what it's doing. So right now it's requesting the scraper to look at that particular URL, and you see right away it's showing you all the information that exists. And immediately it says, here's a table summarizing the unit sizes, pricing, and cost per square footage based on the information provided in that URL. And it starts to immediately build a table within this saying unit sizes, again, price, cost per square footage. And now there are some ranges in here. So again, just some sophisticated data. And it says that, and it even goes about telling you how it came up with that, because again, the cost per square footage was not in the URL. So not only did I ask it to scrape and share information, I actually asked it to do some calculations for me out of the gate. And so it's confirming how it went about that. The cost per square foot is calculated by dividing the price by the total square footage of the unit. For example, a 5x5 unit priced at 112, the cost per square footage is calculated at $4.48. So now I have an understanding of exactly the information it has. And without doing barely any work, a few seconds, a few clicks, maybe a sip of my coffee, as I like to joke, that table then exists for me. And what I can do in advance. Now, of course, this is one particular facility. People ask me, so I just have to repeat that over and over and over. Yes, or we can do something like this, where now I've pasted in the exact same thing, saying using these URLs, make a table of the business name, the unit sizes, features, amenities, standard or regular price, promotional, web price, dollar per square footage. And I've actually taken the time to pre-capture URLs. And so if you're in an area, obviously, unless they're building a brand new storage facility, it's going to be your same 5 competitors over and over. So you can actually just copy those URLs and paste them into a notepad or a word sheet, wherever. And every time you want to look up multiple facilities, just paste them all in at one time. And you'll see immediately the scraper goes to work. Let me expand this data. So you see it's now requesting the information from the first one, which is this Golden State Storage. And again, I can kind of hands off, have a chat, have a coffee, check my email, and let this business go to work. Now, going back to my poor analyst over there, who's probably still on page 1, maybe he's halfway down, maybe he's getting close to the end if he's fast. Oh, now we've encountered a problem here. And this happens sometimes too. I like doing these things in real time because you can see how it actually happens. So it said it actually encountered an issue here. He's trying to fetch the data from a third URL. So it's going to continue trying. And one of my favorite things about OpenAI, ChatGPT, is that when it does encounter a problem or hits a wall, it doesn't actually sit there. It will actually continue to try. So I'm going to tell it, would you like me to proceed with this approach? And I'm going to say yes. So it's very solutions oriented. It said, hey, we hit a wall here. Do you want me to try again? Do you want me to continue on to the next one? What do you want to do? So it kind of guides you through this process. And that's almost with anything, which again is a beautiful part of this particular product, is that I may not know what the best answer is. And in this scenario, I could have said, what do you recommend? That's another perfect prompt. It's like, hey, what do you think the best thing is here? So here we're having some more issues with with the data in real time. Hey, this is how it goes.
It's fun.
Uh,
I'm just blown away just by the first example of just that one site. Frankly, that's amazing.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I'm going to actually cheat here and go backwards. So I've actually had
Oh,
to
fun.
capture this information ahead of time.
There you
So
go.
in this scenario, here is ultimately the table that comes out. Different, you'll see in the left-hand side, the business name, unit sizes, features, standard price. It actually separated the promotional price and ultimately also calculated the
Oh,
dollar per square feet for me. So just a click and a couple URLs, I've actually been able to have this beautiful table of all this information. And ultimately, here is one of the key pieces. So when you're in the advanced data analysis mode, whatever data or graphs it pumps out or information, tables it pumps out, you can actually ask it to create a downloadable CSV or an Excel file for you, and it will do that in real time. It'll create you a link, you just click it, and it downloads. That's not something you can do when you're in the plugin mode. So this is my little cheat workaround. I actually tell it to provide me the markdown code for this information and exclude any rows that have range prices. So you'll see there was a particular facility that had their 10 by 10s. In lieu of separating them out, they've actually have 235 to 260. They've kind of comboed them. Now it doesn't really help me, and maybe I want to do a straight forward analysis. Hey, you could also leave them in there. But in this particular one, I've asked it to exclude those because I really want to look at stuff across the board. So what it does is it's the same exact information in a table, but in this upper right-hand corner, in the markdown code that it created, it says copy code. So now I can just click it and it's simply copied. I'm going to go into a new chat, and now I'm going to go into the advanced data analysis. And at this point, I can say, using this data, in fact, I have this little cheat sheet here. I'm going to go here. Using this data, create me useful graphs or charts to help me understand this data, and be sure to use the data labels as well. I like to tell it to use the data labels because it tends to create stuff without it. And then I have to ask it the next time. So I kind of, again, this goes down to asking the best prompt. If you know exactly what you want, ask for it straight out of the gate. I
yeah.
want this to be red. I want this to be blue. Make sure, rotate the y-axis, 65 degrees to kind of you can stylize these graphs as well. And so now it's actually asking for that data. Oh, and I forgot to bring that down.
This is so cool. Just watching this in real time.
So I'm over there copying that code again. And all I'm doing was taking that markdown code that I created in the plugin mode and simply pasting it in. And you'll see that here, it's kind of like, it looks like a table, but it's kind of broken. Again, it completely understands that. And so it's even now going to suggest to me, it says, great, here are some suggestions on how we could visualize this data. We can do price comparisons, we can do feature analysis, we can do price distribution, price versus features, business comparison. So it's actually recommending to me, hey, I see all this data. Here are some immediate things I can pull out. And I'm going to tell it to create me one of each, and be sure to use the data labels. Because again, it tends to want to forget those. And so I will tell it. So it says certainly. So it's going to start constructing that immediately. So first it's going to start with the first one, a price comparison, a bar chart, comprehend standard prices versus promotional prices, feature. Now it's going to go through the whole nine for me. So this is amazing. So again, you could think maybe if again my pricing analysis, my operations analysis was quick enough, he may be done with the first one. He's on his second one now. And this thing is already pumping out some charts for me. And now the cool thing here is that OpenAI, or the advanced data analysis, it uses Python to code. So this is stuff that you could do if you're a Python coder. Now, no worries. If you're not a Python coder, which I'm not, it does the Python code for you. And the nice part is that if you're interested in learning Python, what a great way. In fact, we have people here at Trojan in the finance department who does create their own kind of algorithms in Python. So he'll come here into ChatGPT and actually check some of his functionality. You can paste Python code into it and say, hey, does this work? How can I improve this? Is there something else I could add or take away from this? And so he's actually using ChatGPT as a secondary source to make his code more efficient.
Wow.
For me, again, I'm by no means a Python coder, but I can see exactly what it's doing. And if I were learning, you can kind of really learn side by side. So what it's doing here for those in audio world is it's kind of filtering out everything. It's categorizing everything, all the unit sizes, the features, the standard pricing, the promotional pricing, the dollar per square footage. And so this is another perfect example. In this scenario, there was an error in the data frame, but again, it itself can work this out. So it says, I recognize that some of this data doesn't line up correctly. And so now it's actually found another discrepancy, and it will figure itself out, or at least we're hoping it will.
Yeah. It's like just troubleshooting itself.
It is
fun.
It's
Fun to watch it.
troubleshooting itself.
Yeah. It's really fun just watching this in real time.
So it's asking me to make this correction if it wants me to proceed. And I will tell it to go right ahead. And ultimately, from reading this very quickly, it's saying that some of the data, it's noticing that there are missing pieces of data. And why that's so is because some of the facilities did not have promotional pricing. They, didn't have certain things. So it's saying, hey, we noticed that there's some fields missing essentially, and things aren't lining up. You want me to go ahead and proceed with this? And so the answer is yes. I think you're always going to find that. Not everybody has promotional pricing. They may be standard pricing across the board. So again, it's kind of a nice check system. Although it encountered it as an error, A, it works itself out, and B, it kind of lets you know what the issue is and asks you if you want to proceed, again, in the light of self-troubleshooting. So here we go. As it's working on this one, it's created the standard price comparison for different unit sizes across various businesses. So in the upper right-hand corner, it's actually created a key with the business names. It's color-coded the business names. In this case, I'm going to scroll back up here and go one by one. Citizen Storage is pink. Camarillo Self-Storage is, I believe, a green. SoCal Self-Storage is blue, for example, and it's actually showed you that distribution and price of all the different unit sizes. So again, this is a really cool analysis, especially if you're doing, again, unit and promotion and pricing analysis against your competitors. It's going to show you very quickly that we have the highest pricing here seems to be in the 10 by 15 to 10 by 20 range, which again should surprise nobody. The best pricing or the value pricing there is in that 5 by 5 and 5 by 7s for this particular area, but it also gives you a clear understanding of which facilities are carrying which types of units. You'll see that the top one, Citizen Storage, seems to have the widest variety of available unit sizes, while some of them are more tight. Again, it's a nice visual understanding of what your competitor looks like. Here in the second one, it's a price per square footage versus total square footage across various businesses. So again, another beautiful chart, really helping you understand. It's a scatter plot showing the relationship between the total square footage and the price per square footage across various businesses. And it's saying each color represents a different business. Again, really cool information. Again, if you're saying, hey, this business here is cutting in, or we assume they're cutting in, you're going to be able to really understand what unit size they're offering, what dollar per square footage that they're asking for now, and really look at that in relation to your own unit and pricing, and be able to make adjustments. So it's asking me if I want to continue. We'll do one more here. This is a feature analysis. So because it can capture amenities and features, which it will also plot that out, so that again, very easily and visually, I can understand with my nearest competitors, these are the features in addition that they're offering. Is there something that I need to hammer home on? Maybe if I'm in a hotter climate area, I really want to focus on climate controlled units. in this particular scenario, it's saying drive up. So drive up is the biggest feature available, while the nearest here, this you see swing door, inside, hallway units, first floor. So it really kind of, again, lets you understand that distribution of the types of amenities that are at least being advertised in your immediate area. And again, in lieu of you going back to my poor operations analysis, who's still, recording stuff from various sites, it allows me in a very few minutes that we've taken to do this to understand pricing, understand unit distribution, understand amenities, have visual graphs that I could go up to my upper management or to my team and say, hey, look, it gives you very actionable items. You no longer are taking the time to curate and then, cross-reference and then visualize. That kind of stuff takes you 2-3+ hours easily. So now we can get to straight intelligent conversations. We can put it all on the table and actually make business decisions based on core data. And this is one of the strongest pieces, the lowest hanging fruit. This is very easy to do. I had, very simple prompts in here. It's, again, using that scraper plugin initially to pull the information, pumping it out using that markdown code, copying that code over, switching modes over to the advanced data analysis, and then truly just asking it any kind of question I want. Another question that pops into my mind to kind of end this one is arbitrarily, how many different sizes of units does each facility have? A simple rudimentary question. People say, I always kind of coach people when they're, using AI is, how do you talk to it? You would talk to it like you would a normal person. If you actually had a data analysis there and they were doing information for you and you were curious, like, hey, how many does this have? What's the cost of that? You would ask that type of question. Sometimes it's hard for people to kind of break that of they're asking a computer a question. But this is exactly what you would do. So in a very quick, it says Camarillo has 3, Citizens has 11 different sizes, myself is advertising 2, and SoCal is 6. So very quickly, you can ask it any kind of question, and if it has the data or knows the answer, it will, spit it out for you. Or it might even go about telling you how to get that data or some assumptions you can make. It can make all types of different graphs. So again, a super powerful tool. I highly recommend everyone, if you have the opportunity to jump on this and play with this. We're using this for all kinds of data. This is a, very simple kind of a competitor analysis. We're uploading our lead activity, our move-in activity, cross-referencing that data to see what kind of data we can pull out of it. We're uploading our form, the number of forms that are submitted through our website, phone calls that come into our landlines, and actually can see the analysis on it. When are those calls happening? Are they happening on weekdays versus weekends? Are they happening after hours, before hours? When is the highest unit? And this maybe will lean into when should you have the most staffs employed? Are they on Wednesdays? It's completely dead. So maybe you can get away with 1 or a kiosk. Maybe you're slammed on Fridays and Saturdays where you should have 2 or 3 people there. So again, this is giving you, it's using your data, which you're already collecting, whether that be out of your FMS, your website, even your security tools, or all the plethora of op tech that's out there. It all is collecting data. So I would pump it in, ask it some intelligent questions, let it curate and analyze that data for you. And it really is going to lead you to the next best question. I always often felt that I spent so much time curating, I rarely had time to get to the point to ask the next smartest question. But now I feel very up to speed, and we can continue to pry and prod into different rabbit holes in this data, and really start to have an understanding that we just never had the full team or the time truly to get to.
Yeah, I'm blown away. I mean, again, I try to stay up on the latest and greatest on AI and ChatGPT, but actually see it in my world for storage and seeing this kind of data analysis, it's crazy. And again, I know that's just scratching the surface of a bit of what it can do, but I urge everyone to again, watch the video of this and kind of just watch this in real time. It's going to kind of blow your mind, first off, what it can do. Like I said, we're just in the very beginnings of this. I mean, I could start seeing this being plugins with the storage softwares and being able to start seeing all that kind of data analysis and be able to make educated decisions on what you should be doing when it comes to rent raises and who you can raise, all this kind of stuff. It's going to be fun. And we haven't even talked about the marketing aspects of it, what they can do for marketing. Anyway, we have to do a part 2 and a part 3 and part 4. We have to do more of this. This is totally fun. I love geeking out on this kind of thing. And it's a value. Again, people listen to this, you got to educate. You got to be on this, because if you're not, the dude down the street is. And so
Right.
you got to get caught up.
Absolutely. And we already know that, again, as I've, stated in some of my previous presentations, was that we already know, we were told a year or two ago that Public Storage and Extra Space have spent tons of money into data, because this is exactly what they're doing. They're just analyzing and crunching this data and really dancing circles around those who are not using all this data to their advantage for the exact same reasons, when they should have staff employed, when they should have operators on the phone line. And so we can do this exact same information with these very low cost, low hanging fruit tools. We can do the exact same thing and really kind of hedge the bet there, if you would, and put the odds back into our favor. It's very easy to do. Something I did, it's super simple, a few minutes, and it brings back incredible results. And again, ask the next best question and the next best question until you're truly feel like you're making an impact, and it's all backed by data. That's the best part. I think a lot of people in the self-storage industry have gut instinct. They've been doing this for a long time, and they know, but now you can back up that gut instinct with hard data and go to town and make, again, educated business decisions.
I love it. I know as people are going through this, the questions are gonna come up, and are you free to give yourself some information if they want to reach out to you to ask any questions, how to get a hold of you?
Absolutely.
Cool.
You could always reach out to me. Find me on LinkedIn is probably the best place. Gabriel Luna. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's a /the Gabriel Luna. You could always catch me on my website. I do have a website that's dedicated to AI. That's going to be Magic with 2 A's. So MAAGIC.ai, magic.ai with 2 A's. I have a plethora of tools that I promote there. Again, I'm not selling anything. I'm no partnerships, but these are actual tools that I've played with that I find useful and helpful, specifically for marketing in the self-storage industry. I have some articles, I have some past presentations with a lot of prompts and responses on there. So if you're just getting started, or if you're even advanced, check out the website, and there's a lot of fruit there that you can kind of replicate on your own time with your own data and see some amazing stuff immediately.
Awesome. Well, that's great. I'm gonna go check it out myself. I love geeking out on this kind of thing. So, well, thanks so much, Gabriel, for taking the time and going through this demo. It was awesome. Well,
Absolutely. Looking forward to the next one. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, everyone in audio world and podcast world. We'll see you soon.
all right, take care.
Take care.
Before we wrap up, just a quick reminder. Do you want to level up your storage game? Visit theselfstorageshow.com. Grab some high-value freebies, check out top vendor spotlights, and stay in the loop with our newsletter. Do you want to chat about becoming a client with 3 Mile Storage Management? All the info's there. Plus, if you've got a story to share, we're listening. Everything you need is at theselfstorageshow.com.